pay portion. All right, with that, I'm going to pass things over to Dean Darzinski, MGIC's VP and Managing Director, to tell us more about why we are here today. Dean, go ahead.
Thank you, Alexis, and good morning, everybody. And just a couple quick comments. You know, we provide these opportunities to get thought leaders from throughout the industry to give you ideas on how to succeed in today's market. And I think for a while we've been talking about the changing market, what is changing here. The reality is this market has changed. The market is the market. It is what it is. It is probably not going to change for some time, but even still, you know, there's going to be a lot of business done, and we want to provide you ideas on how you can succeed in today's market. Really excited to have our panel here this morning. And let me do a couple quick introductions. Denise Donoghue, if you can see by the screen, is also known as the Mortgage Nerd. She is a top 1% originator in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, which means that she is a top originator in the country. And you are not seeing double, but the other individual is Deborah Byrd, who is her twin. Yes.
Twin two.
Number two, Deborah is the CEO and founder of Plug and Play Social Media, works with originators like yourselves to up your game on social media, and actually worked with Denise on her social media platform before forming her own company. And then last but not least is our moderator today, and a fellow Northwesterner. Ryan Hills is the regional director for Movement Mortgage in the Northwest, but also is the CEO and host of RE Source TV. If you've not checked that out, it's a great weekly video that he puts out with a tremendous amount of insights and intel about the current market, what is going on, has a ton of thought leaders on there throughout the industry. So really excited to have you. What they're going to be spending their time talking about today is how do you engage referral partners? How do you build scripts to open up conversations with people in today's market? How do you talk to borrowers in today's market who probably are looking at interest rates and may be a little bit shocked? And how do you build a plan for success in today's market? So I am sitting in a car outside a customer's office here. I'm going to drop off and go do some business development for myself as you see people walking by me. But I want to thank the three of you for being here. And I hope you all have a great hour. And we look forward to working with you in the future. And as always, you know, when you think about loans and mortgage insurance and you think about the value that we're providing, we ask that you send your business to MGIC. So Ryan, with that, I will turn it over to you and let you take it from here.
Thank you, Dean, and MGIC, hardest working man in the business right there. We're all in our studios and he's out pressing the flesh, getting business. So, hey, I got the chat log and questions over here. I'm not seeing a lot of West Coast love. I see a lot of East Coast. So if you're from the West Coast, help me out. Like I see everybody from the East Coast. Also, if you have questions, throw them in there. My good friends, Deborah and Denise, our goal here is just to provide as much value as we can. So if you have a question, I'll try to get to as many as I can. And we just want to provide value. Like we love this business. They're absolute rock stars. So I'm excited to provide another piece of content with them. There we go. Now we got some Seattle folks coming in. Also, since Deborah's got Texas, her jersey on, who's your favorite team?
Go Rangers!
Yeah, I'm rooting for the Rangers since the Mariners are out. So who's your favorite team as well, whether it's NFL or baseball? It's a great time of the year because NFL kicked off and now baseball's in postseason. So go Rangers, go Mariners. I wish they were in it. So guys, this is awesome. Let's take a break from the stress of the market for about an hour, kind of talk through how you guys are winning. I know the cool thing about this little triangle here is we also know quite a few people in the business, so we can leverage their stories and their success. We'll start with kind of an easy layup question, and then we'll kind of unpack it a little bit further. We'll start with Denise. So, you know, right now, I don't know what you guys are seeing, but with this market, it's easy to get down. There's not a whole lot of wins out there. And so I'm seeing some people kind of like rest up and just go, well, you know, the opportunities aren't out there. So maybe I'll come into the office a day or two a week. I get that perspective, especially since the wins are hard to come by. But then there's also another perspective that I see people that are like, you know what, no matter what, I'm coming in, I'm running my playbook. And no matter if I get a win or not, I'm going to, you know, my calendar's carved out. So how are you guys, like from your perspective, showing value and providing value during a difficult time when rates are high, people aren't selling? How are you guys providing and showing value, both from an LO perspective, from a marketing perspective? What are you doing yourself and what are you seeing that's working? Let's kind of start at a 10,000 foot level and then we'll unpack it deeper. Denise, we'll start with you.
So I love that you started this off with just acknowledging that, a lot of us probably feel like we're not winning. I mean, even though I'm closing more production than most at our company, where they would say, okay, well, at least you're at the top of the production. If I compare that to my 2021, I feel like it's really crappy. So I just want to acknowledge that, like, I don't feel like I'm winning in this market, but even with that said, that doesn't mean that I'm not showing up and winning the day. I think there's a difference in seeing what my numbers are, closed units, versus what did I set out for my day? And am I winning that day based on what is in my control, which is my daily activities? So I think if you haven't changed how you're measuring what winning is, that would be like my first thing to do is, do you have a set plan for the day? And are you getting through that set plan? And if you are, chalk that up as a win. But to answer your direct question of how I'm showing up and delivering value, you have to be an advisor to your clients and to your partners, but it has to be explained and presented so simple, because a lot of the strategies and loan programs that are available today to make home buying more affordable, they're very hard to articulate. And I see so many loan officers trying to explain these types of programs in an email with a bunch of text or over the phone with a bunch of words. So let's just talk about the 2-1 buy down. A lot of people are utilizing this program, but if you're trying to explain it all in an email or just with text without the visuals, it can make that conversation very complex. Even if you call it a 2-1 buy down, I think it's a very unattractive name for the program. And so what tends to happen is the buyer's mind shut down, the real estate agent's mind shut down, and you're leaving them to form their own opinion of if this market actually makes sense to buy in or not. So I guess what I'm doing is I'm controlling what am I studying and researching every single day. I have a daily discipline of studying something for an hour a day, because my same 8 to 10 hours that I work just isn't quite the same as it was in 2021. So let's keep it real. But it's like, okay, what can I do? Things like tuning into this webinar, things like tuning into Mortgage Coach or tuning into a podcast, like spend the time to learn something and study something that you didn't have time to do in 2021. And then really start to analyze your presentations. I know that sounds so lame and not very sexy in 2020. But like, how are you presenting these strategies and these options to your clients that are getting pre-qualified? Like, are you still just doing, hey, this is what you're pre-qualified for, go out and buy a home. Yeah, the rates suck, but they'll come down. Don't worry, they'll come down. Like, you've really got to switch up how you're presenting things in today's day and age, not just to your clients and to your realtors. So that would be my 2 biggest things, is like, define what winning the day looks like, and then define a plan and certain non-negotiables for your days. Everyone looks a little bit different, and keeping your mind sharp and studying, like, what are other top producers doing?
Yeah, I don't think that's cheesy at all. I mean, they're reps, right? Like, get reps in. Your first one's going to suck. Your second one's going to be a little bit better. Your third one's going to be quite a bit better, and so on. So I'm a big fan of that. The thing about winning that I love that you mentioned, and just to encourage you guys, I know sometimes, all year we've been sharing with the team, like, probably doesn't feel like you're winning. And winning has been defined as historically paychecks and closings. Pretty easy to say, oh yeah, well, I had closed 20 loans last month and I won. In this market, guys, winning, you may not realize it. You may not even know that you're winning, because winning is taking market share, and market share isn't always realized immediately. Unfortunately, a lot of our friends, our peers in the business, about 50% of them, whether you're a realtor or a loan officer, have got out of the business. I don't love that stat because I love the business. I want everybody to win. But also their market share is going to go somewhere, typically to the hungriest loan officer right now that is willing to go put in the reps that Denise is talking about. And that's the win, is looking back and going, I stole 20% market share that I didn't have in 2023 when everybody else was resting and saying there was no opportunity. I went and found it. So you may not know that you're winning and you may not feel like you're winning, but I promise you, if you're still in this business and you're still on offense and taking market share, you may not know it for 3, 6, 9 months, but I promise you are winning, and it'll be defined with market share taken.
And I just want to say before Deborah chimes in yes, it's a tough market, but I, like, in my core, believe, as much as like Deion Sanders believes in his team, which I think having conviction is so much, it's so part of the strategy as well. As like, if you don't believe this, but like, I genuinely believe 2 things. One, that this is the greatest market for first-time home buyers. because rent has gone up so much that if they can get in now before rates come down, then they can get into a home and capitalize on those appreciation gains that we'll see when rates come down and buyers flood the market. And it might, in a normal appreciation rates, it might take 5, 6, 7 years for them to earn what they will likely earn if they can get in now with an ugly interest rate. So like in my heart and soul, I believe that. Now, if you have to sell a house and you have a 3%, not as convicted with that. There has to be a true need. But the second thing I will say is, for the branch managers out there, like this is the single greatest opportunity to add loan officers who are starving for mentorship, who are starving for strategies and presentations and marketing with personal branding. And like, we are gaining so much market share from loan officers and from real estate agents to be like, we're not feeling sorry for ourselves. We're not kicking our feet up. Here's what we're going to do to win and gain as much business as we can. And so I like firmly believe that maybe there needs to be a mindset shift, instead of saying this is a tough market, of like, I think literally this is one of the greatest opportunities where you can get in front of those agents, because there's a lot of agents right now that are working with loan officers and they may or may not know it, but that loan officer got a second job or a part-time job. And so their service has gone down, and they're not going to walk with a sign in front of their head that says my loan officer is halfway in the game, but they will feel that. And so if you're showing up and you're like, I'm not halfway in the game, I'm all the way in the game, and here's what I'm doing, and you see me on social and you see me doing these webinars for clients and agents, they're like, okay, like I want to be on that train, not on this one that doesn't seem like they're doing anything. So
Love that. And we're going to ask Denise one of the tough questions. So we're going to get in the weeds too. I know we've been at the 10,000 foot level, but later we're going to ask, like, how do you actually have the conversation when you have to call somebody and that rate starts with a 7 or an 8? Those are not fun conversations. So we're going to get in the weeds too. Bear with us. We had over 2,000, I think close to 2,000 people sign up. This has been great so far. If you have a friend that needs to hear this, hit the share button and just copy and paste that link and bring them in here, because we still got quite a bit more value to unpack. Deborah, from your perspective, your whole job is literally to go help others provide value. And you do this over and over and over again. And what's kind of interesting is seeing, peers of yours and competitors of yours come into the space. We've been creating content for 15 plus years. So your perspective is going to be completely different. And it's a bit harder to go in and shoot really relevant content that's landing right now that is providing value. So what are you seeing, and how are you coaching people up to actually provide value in a difficult market right now?
Well, the first conversations that we're having is just kind of like what you guys mentioned, is redefining the win. And I think too many they look at it as an event, like winning the entire game. And I'm like, no, you just want to win the at bat. Like, and then we just want to get on base. Like, y'all are trying to hit the home run or the grand slam, and you're trying to get all the way around the bases and win the entire game. Like, we've got to rack up the small wins and then start with what are the small wins of the day. I'm obviously a big believer of winning by noon. And so there's things that we can do from a proactive prospecting measure through social media, which is just one of the things that even when I was on Denise's team that we executed really well and it worked for us. Instead of just making a post and waiting to see, okay, how many followers am I going to get? How many likes am I going to get? It's like, no, don't post and ghost. I want you to proactively follow accounts, you to proactively make comments, you got to put the ball in play and put yourself out there. And what I love about this quarter in particular is this is the perfect time of year to reconnect with your database. Like, I think a lot of times people have call reluctance on, I said I was going to do these things, like help them manage this debt for the life of the loan. And then, things happen and we don't have a follow-up system. And so they get nervous to make those contacts. And you have Halloween, you have Thanksgiving, you have Christmas, like maybe going beyond the norm in the industry standard and thinking outside the box and like giving back to your community. And these things could be free. It's like, let's do a coat drive or a scarf drive and let's feed the homeless, and let's get more at bats and more contacts through not just, our current database and maybe going after our real estate partners, but thinking outside the box and leveraging these seasons to grow your impact and influence in the community that you serve.
Let's unpack post and ghost and engagement a little bit, because it's a one-on-one strategy, but it's overlooked so much. I don't think people realize how much we're really losing there. So let's actually unpack what that looks like. So imagine Facebook and Instagram's just engagement, just a conversation. It's just had virtually, right? So if I post and ghost, and I get it, somebody said, hey, I did this earlier and it worked out for me. There are times where you are just going to post something and maybe walk away. I do believe it's probably better, and I'll throw it to Deborah here to kind of clarify, to engage with the people that are interacting. I think that pours gas on the post, but imagine just standing in a group of people, 30, 40, 50 of them, and all you do is shout and talk, and you never let anybody respond. Like you would never do that in a social setting. You'd never just sit there and yell and not ask somebody their opinion or their thought, or pause and wait for them to comment. That's essentially what she's talking about when we just post and goes, is like, I'm so narcissistic. It's all about me. Let me just post my thought. I don't care what anybody else says. And so I think we lose a lot of engagement, which is rewarded with the algorithms, engagement, likes, conversations had in the comment section. So how do you coach people through that? Deborah, do you agree with that? And what else did I miss when unpacking that? Because I think we missed that a lot.
So there's no affiliate with this, but the Win by Noon planner. So they have a real estate edition and a loan officer edition. I had asked Todd, is there a way I could sandwich in the social media daily disciplines as like a checklist of like, if you did these things every single morning, how could you measure your activities and then track your results? And so for anyone who's interested in these, just email Todd at winbynoon.com. But these are the things that I'm telling clients. These are your non-negotiables. This is part of your prospecting time, leveraging social. And we're reframing social media as just, it's not only a way to grow your personal brand, but it's an extension to your database. Like we know the data proves that the average American adult, so 18 years and older, that lives in the United States, depending on their age range, they are on social media between 4 and 5.5 hours a day. It's like the new TV. So instead of just being a consumer, which is what most people are, and there's ways, and I won't do it here, but you can look at your settings, go to battery, look at your usage, and people are usually blown away to see how much time they spend on their phone and how much, like when you look at the top used apps, how many of them have social media in their apps. And these are people who tell me that they don't like social media and they don't have time for social media. And I'm like, well, that's weird. Looks like you're letting social media use you instead of you using it as a way to prospect. So this is some of the daily disciplines I have clients do. I tell them every day you're going to follow 20 new accounts. And they're always like, Deb, what do you mean 20? Where do I find these 20? Great question. Every lead, every intro, every referral, every CPA on a tax return, every listing agent, when you're calling to do your lender recommendation on an offer submitted, regardless if it gets accepted, anyone that you come in contact with, also making sure that you're being a better social listener on different, Facebook groups. If there's someone you can connect with, I want you to proactively reach out and follow 20 new accounts a day. And guys, when you do that, how many do you think are going to follow you back? So now you compound that over time. Let's just say this quarter. If you did that consistently, you will grow your following with more intentionality and purpose of people who could be potential referral sources or clients. That, to me, that's better than having like a lot of people in overseas following me that are never going to be clients or send me business. So the second thing is proactively liking and commenting on 20 other posts. I usually tell clients to set up what's called a favorites feed. It's just basically kind of your hit list. So you can be super intentional when you're scrolling, but you are to like and comment. And I don't mean a generic comment, like not good job on the listing. Like it needs to be a genuine compliment or something that you've noticed that could be so valuable that they pin it, or it creates more conversation. So we don't want generic, like thumbs up. The other item is 20 DMs, which is direct messaging, but I like to do this through the stories. So when people post stories, it makes it really easy to send a message like, hey, cool, I see you went on a hike. Which trail is that? And it's just getting the ball in play, not necessarily taking the shot. Like we're just trying to start the conversation and create kind of these never-ending conversations, because we know the more connections we have lead to more conversations, which leads to conversion. And usually that happens in the DMs. And then just basic things like if you have new followers, like reach out to them and say, thank you for following and maybe what interested you with my account, or just don't just create followers and then not introduce yourself. Like that would be like me speaking on stage and then just walking off and not allowing for any conversation. So we do manage a lot of different accounts over the US, and I'm always blown away by the people who are like, man, I just didn't get as many followers as I wanted to this week. And I'm like, dude, you didn't even recognize the ones that said yes to you. Like, let's show them some love. And then just, making sure you're checking your DMs, you're responding to them. Sometimes it goes to the requested inbox. So you're going to want to make sure you're constantly checking those. Make sure you like and respond to any comments on the posts that you're making. And with that being said, the more posts you make, whether that's on your feed or to stories, know that you're also giving people opportunities and permission to engage with you, because others will do the same. It's kind of like if you do it, they will do it in return. But if you're not creating the content or creating curiosity with your content, then you're not really giving them permission to be able to reach out and ask you questions or get clarification. So those are some, I call them lightweight touches that we should be doing every day. That takes about 20 minutes when you set up a favorites feed, and you can be super intentional of who you're engaging with. And like you said, the algorithms see that engagement. They think you guys have a relationship. And that is why, if you ever wonder why you see certain people in your stories more often than others, it's because the system thinks that you guys have a relationship. So this is a way to get your content seen without paying for it by the right eyeballs.
Tons of value from Deborah and Plug and Play there, guys. If you're going to work in this season, we have a lot more time to execute what you just talked about. Let's be honest. It was real difficult to do that in 2020 and 2021. We have a lot of time. She just outlined a playbook for you. If you're wondering what to do and how to win in this market, spend 20 minutes, spend an hour a day. Denise talked about her intentionality with her time and learning something new. I can't remember if it was daily or weekly, but that's where I find people are kind of like scratching their head, like, Hills, I'm not really sure what to do. It was easy the last couple of years, and I'm not really sure what to do to go win. So I appreciate kind of outlining that. We'll unpack that even further. And that kind of leads into my next question back to Denise. When you look at the habits that are setting you apart in your market and the people that we know as well, I'll kind of add to this. I just interviewed a top producer that's over 115 million this year, 300 transactions. When you look at their habits, their daily habits, you mentioned one of them earlier, what is setting them apart and allowing them to close loans when most originators are like, there's not enough out there. There's still business being had. There's still $1.7 trillion of business that will be had. But from your perspective for yourself and also the people that are winning, like what are their daily habits that are setting them apart right now?
So we have this, I actually got it from the Modern Mortgage Summit, and it's this calculator. We do this every quarter. When I say we, I do this with the loan officers here, and we identify every quarter what our game plan or strategy is going to look like monthly, weekly, and then daily. And so what we're committed to in this season for Q4 is every month we are hosting a Zoom roundtable, bare minimum, for our realtor partners and also for our past clients. I think a lot of people are dropping the ball with their past clients. And especially if they purchased a home within the last year, we know that they're going to be looking to refinance. And we also know that all these big banks and the Quicken loans are going to be spending way more money than I have to send postcards.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? So we are pouring into our clients and our realtors more than ever to get in front of that. And each time we're dropping the little seeds of like, hey, our post-closing customer service team, this is part of our services. We're monitoring the rates for you. We don't want to do anything when they're on the way down. We want to do it when they hit rock bottom. But so bare minimum, we're touching our clients and our partners. And for our partners, it's a realtor roundtable that might be like, I'm doing one tomorrow, and it's saying how to define a business plan to win in this market. And it's a realtor roundtable tomorrow. The last Zoom that I did for my clients was, are you financially fit for the fall? And it was a 30-minute Zoom. It was at 6 p.m. And we talked about, we're going into the fall. People are in more credit card debt than ever. Are you fit? Do you have a budget? Do you even know what that looks like? And so here's the thing is, we're doing that non-negotiable every single month. But here's where the magic is you have to send an invite to your realtors or your clients about this. We do it at least 10 days before. So you send one invite, they're hearing from you. 24 hours, they get a reminder. And then the next day they get here's a copy of the recording, whether they registered for it or not. So you're getting 3 touches in a month. And then
So smart.
then Deborah, we tell her, because I use her services for all my social media. You'll see this post. I think the post went out yesterday. Actually, I don't know because I don't post it. But they create the graphic and you're posting it on social. And here's where the magic is. I hate social in the sense of like, I don't use social of they look at me, look at me, look at me. I just closed a loan. Look how great I am. Like, I do it in the sense of, hey, I am putting on this webinar on Thursday. It's for my real estate agents, or I'm putting on this webinar for my nerd club, because I call them nerd club alum. Those are all my past clients. So if you're in the club, you get access to me even after closing. So what that tells the world is that I have a strategy and a service program even after the close. And that's very attractive to clients. It's very attractive to real estate agents. And if you're not posting about it in a very deliverable way, that's not like, look at me, I'm so great, but in a way of like, I care about my clients even after I got paid. And here's how I'm proving it when every other loan officer, you see what I'm saying? So it's leveraging the social, it's like a cocktail of how there's emailing, there's texting, and so some of our what we did, if you're a loan officer, what I did with my group is, okay, we just brain dumped. What are the topics that you want to do for your realtors and for your clients? All right, we write those down. Okay, now what date do you want to actually host it? Write that down. So if we know that at that date, 10 days prior to that date, we want the first invite to go out, then I need to give myself 4 days before that date to create the graphic, blah, 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 so that, it all stacks up. And so when you put it down on your calendar and you've got a date on your calendar of like, prepare graphic, send the invite out, I know at least this fall, I'm going to be super intentional with my time and show up. But if I don't do that, and if I don't hold my loan officers accountable to it, a week will pass by and I'm like, oh, I didn't get your date of when you make that date in Zoom and you send out that invite, you're going to show up. You know what I mean?
Every day, every week, you're going to inch your way towards that big idea, whether it's this one or another one. I love that idea. Like, hey, let's go create the idea, the plan. Let's pick a date. We're going to invite people to it. So now I'm accountable. I don't know what I'm going to talk about. I don't know how this is going to go. I don't have a graphic. I don't know how many people are going to show up. But now I got this date and damn well, I'm going to show up tomorrow and the next week and figure out how this is going to work. I love that. I want to unpack it a little bit further because guys, this is an idea that we can all go execute tomorrow. I want to bring in Deborah on this because I'm sure you're already involved in this next question. LOs are like, love the idea. I can do this for the roundtable for my past clients, for my realtors, but I just don't know what to talk about. So how do you guys figure out what content, I'll let you both chime in, is going to land, is going to be relevant? If you're doing these once a month, you're probably having to answer that question every single month and maybe even plan out ahead. So how do you figure out what to talk about and what topics and content to unpack with this?
Denise, do you want to go first?
Yes, because that's probably the number one question that I get from people. And if you're so in tuned with listening and paying attention, it's not as hard to come up with as you might think. So like in October, a couple of my loan officers chose to do the topic of, you're going to start getting your tax bill. This is for the clients. You're going to get your tax bill. And so how do you read that tax bill and what will that mean to your escrow statement? And then of course, in March, when they get their escrow analysis, we'll probably have a client Zoom connection call that's like, okay, you got your escrow. So it's just staying in tune. I'm sure Deborah has fancier ways like asking ChatGPT, but I just look at what are the questions that the real time, and that's why we don't do planning more than 3 months out. Just so you guys know, I used to do it like 12 months, but things change and it's not relevant. And like, you have to say super relevant. So in September, when I did the getting fit for the fall, I thought to myself, oh man, student loan payments are going to start coming due. Credit card debts through the roof. People have more equity than ever. I feel like people are at a loss of even how to budget. So I just coined getting financially fit, but that was just me thinking about what do I think the people need to hear right now, you know?
Yep.
So
100%. Well,
Deborah,
and it's really,
fancier.
it's paying attention to social behaviors, social events. Okay, well, possibly got a recession coming, started a war this week with like financially surviving, a recession. Great topic. Everybody's like, how am I going to do this? So I love that. And I'm sure you're right. Deborah's probably talk about ChatGPT or maybe the most Googled thing or question that's out there, but I'll throw to you, Deborah, too, to touch on that.
Well, so I do agree. And I think it's important that you have some kind of monthly campaign that's for your database as well as for your agent partners. And I think in our heads, we make this seem so much more complex than what it is. But when you dial it down, that means you're only having 12 meetings with each. That's not a whole lot. And for some, maybe you have guests that come and speak that you have them speak twice. So for things for your database, it is being a better social listener. So I don't use ChatGPT for that because it is dated a little bit from 2021, but I'm a better social listener, hearing what is being asked in different groups. Like, where can I gain more context, or where can I be more curious so that I can learn what is it that would be most valuable? And sometimes for your database, it could be a client that you just helped who may be a neurologist who has his own practice. And it's like, hey, every month we do a value series for the, families that we serve. I'd love to have you come on board. We do it via Zoom as well as live. And really, it's an opportunity for you to help answer and educate some of the most asked questions that parents could be facing with, kids who have ADHD or whatnot. And so it brings value to your community, but it also brings value to the business owner or business partner. And so, you could do family law, and just, there's so many things, and diverse relationships where people who aren't married, who have kids, and then, they have SAPSers, which are just agreements. And can I move if there's a geographic restriction? And so there's so many adulting lessons, is what I call it, that we're not taught in school, like the difference between a will and a trust, and like, basic things that most people just aren't even protected, or their families protect, because they don't know what they're supposed to get. So getting different experts to come into your community, one, it gives people a reason to continue to follow and engage with you after the loan process, because too often I see content created that's only for people who are raising their hands right now of like, I'm interested, or I may be interested. But it's like, if you want people to follow, then WTF, like, give them a reason why to follow, not the WTF that you're probably thinking, but like, why to follow? Why should they keep engaging when they see an email come through? Is it another recipe? Is it the same canned marketing messages that you ran in 2021? Because if you're running the same plays in 2021, they're not going to work in 2000. They shouldn't be working, because the market should dictate your marketing. And it's based off the current times, the current trends, current demands of what the consumer or agent thinks is value, not what you think is value, because that's subjective. So we need to get better at listening to hear what are the real needs, and what are the needs that we could anticipate that our clients don't know are even needs yet. And so then we go serve. The more we serve, the more we can educate, then the more that will come back to you, I promise. But that does go back to Denise's point of her daily discipline of choosing to study something for an hour a day, and choosing to engage with different experts to come in. And then for your agent partners, we do what's called the first Wednesday of every month is part of the marketing plan. It's being consistent with the same day and same time. So it's always the first Wednesday, it's at noon. A lot of times agents don't even know who's speaking or what the topic is, but they'll start to position you as someone of value who shows up, and they will be there regardless if they even know what the topic is, if it's valuable. So sometimes that means just asking them what would be of most value to you, and then go find the expert, because you don't have to be the one that knows all the information. I think that's also where people get nervous, is they think they have to be the expert to present the material.
The authority, the originator of all the content ever.
Right.
It's a lot of weight to bear if you feel that way.
Right. And it can get overwhelming when you think of like, okay, Deborah, but my day job is loans. You want me to be a content creator, and now this like, you could start to believe this story when it doesn't have to be real. Just leverage.
Let me add to that too, because one of the questions we get asked when we travel and speak is like, how do you guys created content for 15 years every weekend, week in and week out? How do you answer that same question of having a relevant topic? I'll take the weight off your shoulders. Guys, like, if you see somebody else, a realtor or a loan officer, unpack a topic or a strategy that you like, make it your own. Like, it's fine. It's okay. We do it every week. That's how I stay relevant too. Is like, I'm watching Housing Wire and CNBC, and it's 58 other sources that I watch, and somebody unpacks or talks about a strategy or an idea or something that's happening, and then the RE source makes it their own. We add our own flair in it. So just pay attention to like other good content creators out there. And then if you find something, don't feel bad about going, I like that question. I like that strategy. I'm going to unpack it myself. So I'll throw it back to you, Denise, because I really feel like we're providing a lot of value that can go be executed in terms of daily habits and strategies that are winning in 2023. So that was a good one. Let's unpack a couple more. But before you do, you mentioned earlier, and I caught it because I think this is where we miss when we start doing roundtables or like happy hours. So LO goes, well, I created a happy hour and I invited 40 people to it. Okay, good. How long ago was that? It was about 3 weeks ago. And you talked about this. Well, nobody showed up. Okay, well, did you remind them the day before, like you said? Did you even create a graphic and actually show people that I'm passionate about this and tease the topic a little bit? And then the third thing, so, okay, great. You guys have a happy hour roundtable. You started the idea. That's not the end of the challenge. We have to remind people because they get busy that this thing's going to happen tomorrow, whether it's a roundtable or happy hour. Remind them. That's a nice thing to do. I did it yesterday. You guys saw it on social. Hey, reminder, post a couple weeks about the MGIC event. I'm really excited tomorrow to do it. The third thing that you said, which I love, is send them a recording because they may have missed it. They may have got busy. And you can do this too, even on a live event. Hey, we had a mastermind with 30 realtors, and then recap some of your takeaways. Like, I really loved what Johnny said about 2-1s. I really love that Sally. And now you've got, like, you kind of, it's like a FOMO. Oh, like, oh man, I missed that. Sounds like that was a really cool event. Most of us are back here just going, I did a thing, I started an event and I invited people to it. I love the fact that you mentioned the two other things that you make sure that people attend and then wrap up with, hey, reminder, here's what it looked like if you missed it. So that was awesome. Back to you. And I know we're going long, but this is amazing so far. Any other big ideas and strategies that are working for you or anybody else that you're seeing right now, Denise?
Yeah. So I think, the tricky thing is that as a loan originator, I'm sure we all know this by now, but we need more real estate agents or quality real estate agents on our roster. And so if you want to keep up with the same volume that you did a year ago, if you only had, let's say, 20 agents on your roster, if they're doing 50% of what they were doing in the prior years, which is very likely, then you have to add more. And so how, I think, is the question, are you going about adding more realtors? And we debate about this all the time within our company, is like, calling a real estate agent or getting in front of a real estate agent in 2023 is so drastically different than even 2021 or 2019 or 1990. And my biggest beef with like mortgage coaches is that there will be coaches that were out there that, and I'm not knocking them, but they're like, well, if you made 40 dials on Monday, then just double it and make 80 dials. And it's like, cold calls and phone calling, I'm not going to say it doesn't work at all, but it's like riding a horse to work versus getting in a car. Because the truth is that if somebody calls me and I don't know their number, I'm probably not going to answer it. If an insurance agent sends me a text message, hey, I'm a local insurance agent, I was in the area, I want to connect with you, it's more acceptable to ghost a text even nowadays than it is to ghost a phone call. Or heck, now people get voicemails on their phone and they're not even checking the voicemails that are left on their cell phone. So like, I just want people to know or hear it even from me that getting a response, let's just call it, like everyone talks about getting in front of an agent, but nobody talks about, well, how the heck do you even get this agent to respond? If I'm not Denise and have a reputation or have a personal brand, or I feel like I'm DMing and I'm calling and I'm texting and I'm getting ghosted nonstop, I want you to know that that struggle is real and everybody has that struggle right now, because getting someone's attention in the market that we're in and the world that we're in is way harder than it has ever been before. So a tactic that I'd like to share with you, which I got from Deborah's, every week when you are enrolled in her services, you get coaching for the week. And one of the things that she shared was you can go to Redfin and I can type in my city and I can see who has had price reductions in the last like 7 days. And so I can see, okay, this agent reduced the price, this house, $20,000. And so my ammo that I'm using to start the conversation with an agent is, hey, I noticed that 123 Main Street, you did a $20,000 price reduction. I prepared this informational flyer or this video or whatever that could help you bring and attract buyers to this home and utilize that $20,000 price reduction to get your client potentially a 5.75% rate, which would save about $680 a month in payments. Now you can't deliver all of that because you have to slow the conversation way down. I'm just trying to get a response and I'm trying to deliver something. It's like fishing. I'm trying to throw my line out there and to get a nibble. To
Just
get
a
a
nibble.
response. Yeah, just a nibble. I'll take just a nibble and we'll do that back and forth. I'm not going like, okay, let's go on a date. Like I'm just trying to start the dance and to show up different and be like, if you've got like 60 seconds, I can jump on a call real quick and explain it to you. But it's a strategy that's been working in this market really, really well. Now I'm proactively delivering something super specific, super valuable to them. They can take it to their seller and show them. And then it's like, hey, by the way, are you hosting any open houses this weekend for this house or other houses? Because I can create this flyer that says buy your dream home at the 5.75% rate and attract buyers and clients to you. I'm not using the 2-1 buy down. I've personally coined the program payment reduction loan program. I'm going to trademark it, so don't copy me. But it's like I have a very specific custom program that nobody's heard of because I just coined it, that can allow you to afford this home cheaper by the time where not only me, but almost every economist in the world predicts rates to come down. So you've got to start thinking like that of like, how can I get a response, a nibble from these agents? And then you look up that agent. Are they somebody that you would want to add to your roster? And then the fortunes and the follow-up. What do you do after that interaction? You know what I mean? But those are little things that like the random texting or emailing or cold calling. I think I'm not going to say it doesn't work. You could spend 4 hours a day every day. And I'm sure with just plain discipline and consistency, you'll get more than the guy that's not doing it and just Netflixing all night and sleeping in, you know? But I just think that there's a more efficient way and a more modern way to get there.
Love that. Deborah, I'm going to throw to you, so get ready, but I want to wrap that thought up too, because while you were talking, I've been thinking about all the LOs that maybe fell out of love with this business this year. It's pretty easy to do, let's be honest, right? And nobody really loves cold calling. I don't. Is it effective? Like you said, sure. There's probably people that are great at it and maybe even love it. Going to an open house is a strategy. What you just talked about, in my opinion, is a little bit better strategy, more intentional strategy, providing value versus just showing up. So I love that too. My 2 cents on this, guys, if you've fallen out of love with the business, find the things that you still love about the business and go execute those. Because you're not gonna be begrudgingly going to this strategy, executing a strategy you don't believe in. So find the things that you loved in the first place and you still love now and go pour gas on those. They don't have to be video marketing like I do. It doesn't have to be what Denise just talked about, but there are things, and it's going to be different for everybody in this business. Fall back in love with it. Ask yourself, what do you still love about the business, and go pour gas on that. Thoughts, and we'll wrap up kind of daily and weekly strategies that are winning right now, but thoughts on that, Deborah, before we transition.
Yeah. And
It's like, yeah, it was my strategy that I shared. So I know.
No, I want all of you who are watching this right now, you can take a picture of this. This is the weekly commitments that we're focusing on just with my clients.
That's awesome.
For the rest of the quarter. So we have daily themed days, but these are proactive things that you can do. Now we use Lender Marketing Platform to deliver this. But you'll see Wednesdays, they're to send 5 proactive seller buy downs to agents with recent price reductions. Thursdays is focused more around, this could be, your current clients who, if you did a data sort, maybe an Encompass, and you look at who are the people that bought from you who had credit cards, maybe student loans, other higher interest debt, that even though they may have a 3% rate, I did make this post that I think the 3% mortgage is actually hurting American families. And this is the very reason, is just maybe proactively sending them a mortgage coach TCA showing how you could actually free up their cash flow and help them pay less interest over time, even if that means increasing their mortgage to an 8%. This is obviously dependent on, their other higher interest debt, but this is an easy one to reach out to clients for, as well as FSBOs. You can also go to Redfin, do a sort to see who has FSBOs that are listed, and you could convert one of those. I have clients that are actually winning with these, and they're able to give these FSBOs to agent partners. So this is what I mean by marketing on offense. Like, it's no more sit and get it. We got to be on offense. And then Fridays is the proactive modern open house strategy that clients are doing. And then this is just one other one that I wanted to show. And this is from Carl White. This is not mine. But he talks about the power of one. If you could just have one qualified agent meeting a day for 4 days out of the week. And qualified means they have to have done at least 4 deals in the last 6 months. So buy side or list side. But that would be a qualified agent. And a meeting can be Zoom or in person. But again, you can take a screenshot of this and it shows the math of what you could earn per year. And let's just say, even if you sucked, like you were worse than average LOs at converting, you could make half this if you just sucked by getting really disciplined on making sure that you have at least one qualified meeting a day for 4 out of the 5 days, say from now until the end of the year. This is what has to be done in order to win and take more market share.
Plug and play bowling out today. I love it. And the link's in there, guys. So if you're liking what she's talking about, click on it, get engaged with the plug and play and Deborah. And man, we've already gone like 45 minutes into this and I haven't even got to like half the things. So they, MGIC, Alexis, Dean, you might have to have us back because you guys are crushing it so good. I do want to get to one tough question because I teased it and I feel like I have to. I know we have other stuff that we wanted to talk about. I'll prep it because I just had a conversation with mega producer and I love what she said because it was so vulnerable and so real. I'd never heard anybody say it like this. And I know this is like a pattern interrupt and a quick shift, but stay with me, guys. So 300 plus loans this year, probably going to finish around 400 plus loans. And in this market, she's like, Ryan, I cringe and hate the conversation of having to call a client right now and tell them that I know we talked about 7, but it's 7.5. She said so much so that before the call, I'm almost wishing for this client to go away. This is a mega producer saying, I hate this call so much. I don't want to have it. Raise your hand if you've ever had that gut feeling that she wishes the business away. Now she gets through that. She processes all those negative feelings and she has the conversation, obviously, because she's top producer, and then has that call. You guys both are big in scripting. I know Denise, you have this call probably every day. How are you getting through those feelings of, oh man, I'm not really sure that I love this rate, but I got to go tell them that this is the rate. What does that look like? What does that sound like? Because I'm sure all the LOs are going, yeah, I don't want to have that call either, but can you give me some tips on how to navigate that call better than everybody else?
Yes, let me see if I can share my screen, because this is where we talked a little bit about this at the very beginning, where your upfront presentation has got to be tweaked if you haven't tweaked it yet, because of how volatile the rate market has been. And just because, naturally more people are on their phones and their devices and their researchers, that you kind of want to hit them up front during that pre-qual or pre-approval stage about rates and how the rate market shifts. So I'm going to share something that I've never shared before.
Oh, heck yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Exclusive today.
Yeah, exclusive. My squad might hate me for it, but this is normally branch stuff. But can you all see my PowerPoint?
Yes.
Okay, so when we are delivering the pre-qual and the pre-approval, there's some key staples that we do before we actually tell them what they're pre-qualified and pre-approved for. In today's market, I can hold it as leverage, because in the 2021 market, I had to pivot and I had to cut some of this stuff because it was like, just get them the letter so they can make the offer, right? But now I'm holding it as hostage to a degree. And so the very first thing that we're hitting on is rates and the market. And I'm bringing up, like, Mr. Customer, did you know that rates not only change every single day, but they change throughout the day? And we're showing them, this is called the candlestick chart. And you can see, like, this green candlestick is a lot longer than like some of these others. What I'm trying to show you is that every single day you can see movement, and it's pretty volatile right now. The reason why that's important to you is because I can't physically lock an interest rate in until you're under contract. So if it takes you 15 days, 30 days, 60 days, the rates could change quite drastically.
Love that.
So
and you can even show them, like, look at 15 days ago, this is where we were, and look at where we're at now. So you can quantify that so they understand it better. Love that.
We are in a prove it world. Like, this is what goes back to what I said from the very beginning. I can either type all this in text, or I can say it all over the phone, but nothing is going to anchor it in with them getting to see it with their own eyeballs. So then I show them, okay, and if you Google, I go back to this. So when doing your pre-qual, Ryan, would you prefer that I use a best case scenario interest rate or a worst case scenario interest rate at this stage?
I would
Most-
give me worst case.
Okay, most clients say worst case, you know what I
Yep.
mean?
Yep.
So, but I don't even talk about what the actual rate is because I'm telling them they change every single day.
Right.
I've just shown them an estimated payment without the rate because I don't want them to fixate on that, because why does it matter? It changes every darn day. It's just like going to get gas. Every time you go to a gas station, it's a little bit different. We don't want to focus on that right now. Then I tell them that a lot of my clients actually will go online and shop for rates, but I just want you to know that there's so much discrepancy with online advertisements. For example, if you go to Google and you pull up interest rates, you're going to see an 8.5%. And if you go to Mortgage News Daily, which is a very popular site, you're actually going to get 3 different 30-year fixed rates. They're all very different, and some include costs and some don't.
Love
So,
that. That's really cool. Smart.
Again, visual. And then I
Mhm.
hit on the inventory storage and home appreciation rates. What's the appreciation rate? I'm doing all of this before I even go into their budget.
With every client, you find time to do this with every client, because that's where most of all those, I just don't have the time to unpack this. I'm like, well, here's another top producer finding the time to have a really important conversation, which I'm guessing prevents, you probably get shopped, but probably not as much having this conversation on the front end, I'm guessing.
I mean, we're over 100 million right now, Ryan. So it's like, unless you're, I don't mean this to be any kind of way. I mean this in like a very Deion Sanders tough love kind of way. I promise you, you have more time than I have, and I'm slowing.
Preach.
I'm making this a priority.
Yep.
Because oftentimes you don't need more leads. You just need to convert the ones that you have. And so if you slowed it down and visually showed them all this, you're not going to get shopped as much, and you could close more by slowing it down. And so the last thing I'll show you is that I have, this is just Excel. It's not anything fantastic, but I'm basically articulating that every small change in the interest rate changes the payment about $33 a month. Now, this is a range of 7.1 up to 7.7. This is just a template, but it gives them an idea of how your payment's going to move. It's not hundreds of dollars, but I'm setting the tone at the very beginning. Your rate's not locked in. The rate changes every day. You can't hold me accountable to it. You can't really go online and ask what it is. Even if you ask another lender, it doesn't really matter because you're not under contract. But rest assured, I'm showing you more than what any other lender has showed you behind the curtain about rates. So I'm building trust, and I don't get shopped a whole lot.
Love that. I'm going to give you guys last words. Go back up to one slide. I know you weren't going to show that. That was absolute gold, by the way. Guys, I call it taking the sword away. It was slide 2 when you showed online rates.
Oh,
Scratch the itch for them. That was brilliant. Like, they're going to scratch that itch if you don't. Like, I wonder what online rates are. She scratched the itch for them. She actually has 3 different screenshots. CFPB actually publishes rates. You could add a 4th in there too and go, hey, here's a regulator and here's what they think rates are. And so
I mean,
if
you
don't
can add
scratch,
Wells Fargo, Bank of America. The thing is Google's rates are always the highest. So I
Yes.
always throw it out intentionally because, average consumers, they Google things all the time. And so I purposely love showing Google because I'm like, if you are going to shop rates, go to Google and shop my rates. But again, it's visual anchors.
Yep. And again, my point was the itch is scratched. They don't feel like they need to go do that. You just did it for them. I'm sure out of 100 clients, you might have a couple that still do, but I get human nature really, really well. And now they don't feel like there's this void of what are online rates and what do they look like and should I look at them? You did that. You took that sort of way. Brilliant. We got 5 minutes. Guys, we ran out of time and we just crushed it. Appreciate you both. But I'll go to Deborah for last words of encouragement, anything that you really were passionate about talking about that we didn't get to. And then I'll throw back to you, Denise, for last words as well.
I just want to encourage everyone to value their own opinion more than others so that you give yourself permission to show up online. And I think this is a real challenge for a lot of people. And I have a lot of empathy for those who they question, I don't like the way I look or the way I sound. And I really think we've got to move past that because there's people in your community who deserve your advice. And it's not always the best loan officers who win the deals. Sometimes it's the most visible and the most known, which we know may not always be the best skillers or the best advisors. And so if I could just empower you all that no one is looking at your content as much as you are. And if I could learn how to create my own identity when I have the exact same DNA as a celebrity in our space, back when Denise and I both originated, like we worked for the same company, same branch, same product, same everything. And I was a former teacher who could barely spell mortgage. Like I was dissecting frogs and I really wrestled, like, why would anyone choose me? Why me? And I had to let go of that victim mentality and start to be a victor of my own story and say, you know what, we are different and I'm going to be me and I'm going to repel some people, which means your social media is working, and I'm going to attract people by my vibe. And I'd rather be liked for who I am and me value me beyond just what others who may say that could be haters, which, you know, you will get hate, but you will get more love. And if it impacts even just one person that day, it's worth it. And the biggest impact it'll make is on you, like seeing your journey grow by being committed to sharing financial truth through social good is what will end up being sometimes the biggest win through this journey.
Love that. Guys, I have the pleasure of like actually knowing and having a relationship with both of these amazing people, and they're my friends, and I learn something from them every week. And go, if you don't follow, Plug and Play, follow them, hire them. I mean, Deborah packed like this much value that she has today, and it was amazing. So imagine if you actually got to spend a whole week with her, a whole month with her, or you teamed up with her. Amazing stuff. We didn't even get to half of it. First of all, thank you. In the chat log, before we throw to Denise to kind of help wrap up, give them some love if you appreciate, because their time's valuable. They're very, very busy. They have successful companies to run. So give them some love in the chat log. Also follow both of them, because you'll find out what I've already known is that they're very, very brilliant. They're smart. They're great people. And I'm just thankful that I know both of them. So Denise, we'll let you kind of wrap up with words of encouragement too, like that LO, that realtor that's like, oh, I'm just barely hanging on. I kind of love the business. I'm trying to fall back in love with it. What would you tell them right now?
You know, there's days that I don't love the business. I mean, there's days where I'm like, oof, this is going to be a rough day and a hard day, but just remember that this job is so great. Like, it's so flexible. You can work in an office, work from home. We have so much freedom. We get to meet some really cool people, make an impact on humans. Like, I think about what were we all doing before we became in the mortgage business? I was working for a bank. This is not a lie. I had to go to the bathroom and my manager knocked on the door and was like, Denise, there's a client here needing to open a checking account. Are you available? I'm like, I am peeing in the bathroom right now. Like, no. And so it's like, it's so easy. It really is so easy to get, oh, this is tough. It is tough, but you know what? It's a short time frame. We will get through it. The tough ones will get through it. And it's going to be one of the greatest markets once we get out of it. So follow me on social. I post a lot of updated motivational things, updated loan programs. I dropped in there. You can email me if you've got questions or anything like that. Unfortunately, I'm not doing the Nerd Academy this fall. It was kind of a one semester type thing. I might do it. I've had people ask me if I'll do it in the spring. I might. But if you guys need something, my passion is helping loan officers, find their superpower and stay motivated. So thank you, Ryan. This has been amazing. And I got to do my Renee Rodriguez class with Ryan, and he won the award for being the lighthouse guy. So like,
Aww.
such a good human, so authentic. And just keep in mind, guys, I think that one of the reasons why Deborah and I are where we are today is because we have failed and have crashed and burned so much. But the key is that we get back up and we hold each other accountable. So find a friend, find a coworker that can hold you accountable. You'll get through it.
I'll double down on what you said earlier for words of encouragement. After the Great Recession, which was pretty close to a depression, guys, what followed was 10 plus years of prosperity. And I know we're facing adversity similar to that. And I know it doesn't feel great, but I am confident, as you said, Denise, there is going to be an amazing time that follows this. And it may be maybe 10, 15 plus years of adversity. We just have to get through it. Who knows? We may actually have, peaked in terms of pain this week. Let's hope. I'm going to knock on wood. Let's hope that those rates start to tickle down like they had a little bit last couple of days. But I promise you, there will be better times ahead, and I'm excited and I can't wait. And I am also looking to take market share. So you guys are amazing rock stars. Thank you so much, Alexis. Thank you for putting this together. MGIC, sorry, like they crushed it, so we only got to like half.
We'll do
So
another. We will do
maybe we'll have to
another.
do another one because there
We'll
was
do
so
a
much
part
more to
two.
get to. Yeah, part 2, that'd be great.
Yes.
But Alexis, thank you so much for hosting us.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Deborah, Denise, Ryan, we appreciate all of your insights. I love to see all of the compliments coming through. So we definitely want to have you on another. So stay tuned for that. Whenever we do that, we'll put that on our training page, mgic.com/training. We'll do an email blast, social posts, I'm sure. So thank you for being here with us today. Everyone else, thank you for taking time out of your day to be here and, educate yourself so that you can succeed in today's market. As I mentioned, we did record today's webinar, so we will be sending a recording later this afternoon. Just keep an eye out for that. That will come from MGIC. It will say something like, thank you for attending. And then we'll have a link to the recording in there so that you can revisit the content at any time. All right, with that, thanks everyone. Have a great
Appreciate you guys.
rest of your day, and we'll see you next time.
See you later.
Go Rangers.
Go Rangers. Go Mariners next year.
Go Cowboys.